All right, hey guys, we made it. We're back again to talk about Facebook advertising. I'm Brian Meert, CEO of AdvertiseMint, and today I got to tell you, this is going to be a live video that you want to watch. We are going to be running through a lot of the most popular questions that people ask about Facebook advertising, and I'm going to give you clear-cut, direct, to-the-point answers on all of them. So we get a lot of questions. People have been commenting, leaving comments on our videos or either through the site. And so what we're going to be doing today is updating and going through a lot of these most popular questions so that you guys have the ability to see what's going on, and I give you some quick answers from that. So, but to begin, this is really exciting. So Facebook had their earnings report a couple of days ago where they announced, quarterly, here's how much money we're making. And I wanted to run through a couple of numbers because this is actually really, really exciting. They now are saying that their daily active users, the amount of people who are on the site every single day, is 1.28 billion people are logging into Facebook every single day, which is up because it was just at 1 billion a couple months ago. So this is awesome in the fact that Facebook is getting more active users on the site. People are coming back, they're finding it more valuable, and these are people that are logging in every day, which means as an advertiser, you have the ability to reach these people with your targeted ads. So very exciting. They also said that their total users is now up to 1.94 billion, which is incredible. So they're almost to the 2 billion mark, which means Facebook now 25% of all people on planet Earth are on Facebook at least once a month. So this is, again, a really exciting number in the fact of this is a fantastic tool to be able to reach multiple people across the entire world. And they also said that, in terms of their revenue, they're generating about $2.6 billion a month from their revenue. And of that, they're saying 85% is from mobile devices. So this just goes back to showing how powerful Facebook is when it comes to the mobile community and the mobile audience. Younger demos, people are just, they're on mobile phones more, and Facebook has really captured the ability to be able to reach those people on those devices in a very, very efficient way. So really exciting stuff. I wanted to share that with you. Now today, we're gonna go through a bunch of rapid fire questions. And what I wanted to do was to give you just short answers to some of the most commonly asked questions that we get either at our agency or that people have sent to us or people have written into these live videos in the past. And I'm gonna go through them and try to hammer out the top ones in this video before we get to the end. If you have any more questions, you're welcome to be able to add information underneath. If you like what I'm saying and you're like, man, that was such a little nugget of information, hit the like, comment, send some hearts or little happy faces flying across the screen. I always love those. So yeah, let's get started. So the first question we have is, what is the very first thing that you should have in place before you start advertising on Facebook? And so for me, there's really three things that are very much from the very beginning. The first thing that you want to do is set up the pixel and get the pixel implemented. That's pretty straightforward. Then we use Pixel Helper to be able to see, is the pixel firing correctly? And then we have the ability to set up either standard events. If we're using Shopify, a lot of those are pre-built in, or custom conversions. So if you have a conversion event, you want to make sure you're able to get those in to be able to track them. So that's step one, get the pixel in and get it working. Number two, you want to upload all your custom audiences. These can be customers, these can be leads, these can be high customers, high value customers, your very best people. You can create multiple segments, sit down, look at the list or the data of the users that you have, and put it in and figure out how you want to be able to list those out. And make sure you get those up into Facebook. Then you can create lookalikes off of those custom audiences that you want to be able to leverage. And then lastly, what I always recommend is spending some time with that data in audience insights. Look at what your customers look like. Look at what people that are coming to your website look like. Look at what your competitors' audiences look like, or your industry, and spend some time looking through audience insights. Once you have those three kind of lined up, you're ready to start going with Facebook ads. All right, next up, the next question, the best way to set up a Facebook ads campaign? Like, what is the best way to set it up? So here's the funny part. We've now seen hundreds and thousands of Facebook ad accounts have come through our world. There's a couple things I'd kind of classify them into two. One is, or maybe three. One is the beginner route, which is a lot of people are doing just boosted posts or from their fan page. And what happens is that creates a campaign every time you're doing it. Now that's, if you're gonna do it, here's my tip for that. Go into Ads Manager, create a campaign for boosted post, and then do it underneath that. Otherwise it gets really messy and you have all these separate campaigns for boosted posts and it's kind of a pain to look at. Whereas if you did it under the ad set level, under a specific campaign, you'd have all that data in one place. So you can actually look at all your results combined. The other two types I see, one is people that are really fast but really messy. So they're like in there clicking around and everything's there. And what happens is as your Facebook campaign grows, that's going to become a problem. It's harder and harder to see the data, even though Facebook's got some great reporting tools. It's not always ideal. So, if you're fast and quick, the downside is, a lot of times it can get messy. Just be aware that that could cause you a problem down the road. The way I really approach is taking a little bit of extra time, but organizing it and structuring it in a way where you have all the data based by objectives, based by who you're going after, based by the ad sets and the ads all the way down. Taking the time to name things correctly and be a little more clean and organized. It makes it easier to be able to access the data and to get answers and to know what's going on. But that's my advice on that one. Number three, how should you organize and name ad campaigns, ad sets, and ads? So here's my advice on this. Include what you're doing in the name. So based on the, if you're using naming a campaign, include the objective in the name so you know what it is. If you're doing ad sets, include who you're going after, what you're bidding, what type of bid, your budgets, like all those different types of targeting. A lot of times I like to include it. Your placements, all of those you're gonna wanna put into the ad set name. And then when it comes to the ad, say, is it a carousel ad? Is it an image ad? Is it a video ad? Is it a slideshow ad? What's the dimensions? Is it vertical? Is it square? Is it regular layout? All of those things I like to generally put into the ad name that allow me to be able to distinguish very quickly as I'm going through reports which ads are best or which campaigns are best. And I'm able to see what's inside of it without necessarily going into it and looking, oh, what's my targeting in here? All right, next question. Ideal budgets and audience sizes for brands that are new to Facebook. So if you're starting out on Facebook, like what type of audience size and what type of budget are you looking to go after? So here's my rule of thumb. If you've got between a $5 a day and maybe $100 a day budget, you should be targeting ad sets that have between 10,000 to maybe 100,000 people. If you have, if you're spending $100 a day to $1,000 a day, you should have ad sets between 100,000 to maybe $1 million. And if you're spending more than $1,000 a day and you're really blowing through a huge budget, that's where you can have ad sets that are larger than $1 million. But generally, I would say if you have a smaller budget and your ad sets at like 1 million people, you need to focus on targeting or start to look at overlapping segments and what can be better at allowing those people, basically focusing your budget more specifically as opposed to going so wide. Okay, cool. Next up, what would you do with a $5 to $25 a day budget? So people that are starting out, they're just testing the waters with Facebook. What would I do if I was setting up a campaign with a smaller budget? All right, here's your answers. Number one, remarketing. I would spend all my money on remarketing. And if there's any left over for remarketing, I would then go and focus on competitors. If you've got a big competitor or someone that's in the industry, I would go directly at those people and try to show ads to them. If I had any money left over after that, or I wanted to test one more thing, I would then do very, very hyper-focused targeting inside of an ad set or inside of a lookalike towards my specific demo. So those are my three: remarketing, competitors, and hyper-targeting towards inside of a lookalike. Next up, what should be a good target cost per lead? So for people that are looking at generating leads or growing their email list or doing lead gen, A lot of times people are like, what should I be spending? What's existent? Is this a good amount? This is not an amount. What's Facebook's gonna charge me? My rule of thumb is generally $20 to $25. WordStream came out with a report in February of this year where they said the average cost per lead that they had seen across all their campaigns was $18.87. Now they also said that in some instances, like the highest level of all that they had seen was in the technology vertical, and that had a $55 cost per lead. The lowest that they had seen was $7.85 in terms of education. Again, these are kind of some across the board numbers. We've run lead gen campaigns for people that are looking to just grow their email list, where we've seen them get it down, sub $1, and a lot of times even much less. But a lot of times that comes into different types of techniques or ways that you're going after that, and it doesn't necessarily apply to everyone. But to some extent, that's what you should be able to look for and expect for. That's a kind of a baseline, and then always know that as you improve your targeting, as you improve your ads, as you improve your relevance score, that cost per lead is probably going to decrease. What, why, and how long should you test your ads? Again, a great question. A lot of people want to know, how long should I go? Should I cut it immediately? Should I wait for a month and be able to see the results? So here's the downside of digital, is that all your data is available instantaneously. 20 years ago, people would put something on TV or the radio and they'd have to wait for a week or a month to see what type of results came through. Now in the digital world, we have everything in real time. So the one mistake I have seen is sometimes people will run a campaign and they're like, I spent the first $50 and no one purchased. This is a huge failure. You've got to be able to run the gamut for sure, and be able to keep advertising with the people that you want to go towards. The things I look for, my rule of thumbs, I usually like to go at least 10,000 impressions as kind of a starting point. When you're setting up automatic rules for Facebook, they recommend 8,000 as kind of a statistical point. There's other, if you were to talk to a data scientist, they may say it's a lot more, that you actually need a lot more people to be able to then analyze and have that data correctly. Again, when it's your money, I think a lot of times you'll start to get a gut feeling on something that is or isn't working. And if that's the case, you have the ability to make that call. The one warning I would say is a lot of times don't pull the trigger on shutting something down too quickly, because a lot of times that has the ability to show you or be able to perform better down the road. Some of the things that you're going to need to remember, 25 conversions. If you're running a conversions campaign, you're going to need to get 25 conversions every week. If you're not getting those numbers, you need to spend more money until you are able to get those numbers. The other things I look for in the campaign are generally click-through rates, relevance score, and feedback. Those three things are what I really look at focusing on. Should I shut something down? If all three are looking negative, it's done, it's gone. Even if I haven't hit my 10,000 impression limit. But if those are showing signs of being good, even if my conversions aren't necessarily there, if I'm seeing good click-throughs, a good relevance score, good positive feedback, it's something that I may run a little bit longer to be able to see what the results are like. Again, awesome questions. Okay, desktop versus mobile best practices. This is an awesome question. A lot of what we focus on is mobile. Like I said earlier, 85% of all Facebook's revenue is coming from mobile devices. So that's generally where we start with, is on the mobile advertising side. Some of the differences that we do, mobile has more traffic. There's different sizes that you have the ability to leverage and use in terms of your ad blocks. Which is important to know. The button locations, on Instagram, there's, the shop now or click now button is on the left-hand side. On Facebook, it's on the right-hand side. So a lot of times we'll adjust the creative based on that. And then there's more text option with desktop. So, that's probably the biggest factor, is that there's more text with the newsfeed and less text with the right column. So you've got to be able to adjust those and be able to make your ads work on those different segments, keeping the very, very, most important part into the newsfeed ad, or not the newsfeed, the right column ad. And then a lot of times in the desktop, you have all that description that will show up that generally doesn't show on mobile or any of the other ads as well. Okay, should you use the same ad on Facebook and Instagram? Okay, if you have a lot of time on your hands, no. You can you can keep changing it and making different ads for both. If you're busy and you're like, man, I need to get something up and get it running, yes, you can use both. What do I personally do? That's kind of the rule of thumb. When we're starting out, a lot of times the first step is to run ads on both and see what types of results we're getting. Over time, we will separate out the ads and do different creative for each platform. Facebook will a lot of times recommend that you should run all your ads on all the platforms to get the best performance, right? So while that does sound like good advice, they have done a horrible job of making a consistent ad unit that goes across all ad sizes. So there's so many different sizes of images or videos. There's so many different options in terms of text and what does and doesn't appear that it's very frustrating for advertisers to be able to actually put a consistent message across all their options. So when it comes to it, you have either or. If you want to do something quick, use one ad for both. It should be fine to get you up and started. As you're optimizing or as you have more time to work on your campaigns, then I would build it out and create different options there. How to use Facebook ads to enhance a Facebook Live event. So if you're running a Facebook Live event and you want to get promotions, as of right now, there is no ad unit that can promote a Facebook Live event. So the minute you go live, you can't run an ad to immediately get more people to come and check that out. Now, I do think that'll happen at some point in time, which is really exciting, but it's not here now. So your options on what you can do is, one, you can run a lead ad to be able to get people to know more about what you're doing and say, hey, we're going to be going live at this time, at this date, and we'll email you the minute we go live. The other thing that you can do is you can do a clicks campaign with accelerated bidding, where you send people to your fan page, and your focus is to use an accelerated bidding campaign for a set period of time, maybe 5 or 10 minutes during that period while you're going to be going live, and you can drive people in. And then the last thing you can do is, once your live video is done, you always have the ability to promote it via a boosted post. And a lot of times people will add comments and still be able to interact and engage with the live video, even though it's not live, but it's pre-recorded, but you can leverage that content to get more people. And then hopefully those people would like you again at the next time. All right, what interests really are versus page likes? So this question, I'm guessing it has to do with, when you're targeting someone, is that really based on just their page likes in the past? Or is it based on, other criteria that Facebook has and knows about? So when it started, it was all off of your fan pages. So if I liked fan pages on, Pepsi, they're gonna list me if someone wants to target Pepsi or someone wants to target soft drinks, right? There's a classification of what these fan pages are and what they do. A lot of times when you're setting up a fan page, you'll see those areas listed out where it'll say, what is your fan page about? And you can go in and select them. That's to some extent how Facebook is able to get this original data. Now, Facebook has talked about in the past how they've started to work on things like emotional tracking or keyword-based tracking. And so I would expect this to definitely develop over the next couple of years, to where now you'll have the ability that if someone's like, man, I'm feeling sick, like I'm about to get a cold, you could have the ability to show a NyQuil ad or a Tylenol ad at that point in time. So it's still, I think a lot of that's being developed. As far as I know, that hasn't been released yet, but Facebook's a big place. They're growing quickly, and I would imagine that's something that will come out soon. Okay, what are the key areas to monitor and judge the success of a Facebook ad campaign? This is a tricky one because, again, everything's going to come down to your business, and every person will have a different objective that what they're looking to do on Facebook, generally it comes down to your KPIs, which are what is the most important thing that you need to have happen that generates money or causes your business to exist for one more day, or to grow. Those are the things that are generally you're looking at to focus, which are the primary metrics. And then there's other things that are kind of secondary metrics to those that a lot of times we watch and monitor to kind of see the health of the campaign. But generally, our focus is on the key performance, which a lot of times would be conversions or average order value or people driving number of people to the site or conversion rates. Things like that are all things that we're watching and monitoring in comparison with other sources. So, we may be able to send traffic from Facebook ads. How do those numbers compare with people coming from paid search or affiliate campaigns or organic search? And all those things we'll be able to look at and kind of line up and be able to provide people with the answers that they're looking for and where we're standing in terms of what's working best. Okay, last question I've got for today. What is the best way to stay on top of changes that Facebook makes? So, man, this is a tough one because they change all the time. And there's a couple things that I would say. Now, I'm a little biased, but we have the AdvertiseMint blog, which we work very, very hard to provide a lot of the most up-to-date reports or updates or studies or things that are talking about Facebook advertising. We're trying to get them up a lot of times the exact same day, a lot of times within like an hour to 2 hours or immediately after they're announced and launched. So that's kind of where a lot of times where I start. Other places that you can go, Facebook Blueprint is a great way to be able to get good understanding of what is the most recent things, or at least how to use them. They're not necessarily like up to date, super up to date, but they are very good at being able to explain things, and they kind of put them out over time. The other thing I do is always watch for Facebook. They'll put a little new icon next to when there's a new feature there as you're in the Ads Manager or Power Editor. So a lot of times you'll see something show up and there's a little new button that you have the ability to see. So keep an eye out for those. And the last thing that I do is I actually have a Google alert running at all times for Facebook advertising or Facebook ads. A lot of times that will give me a quick update in terms of what are the latest things that are coming out in our industry and in our news. Okay, cool. Well, that was it. We did it. We made it all the way to the end. I want to thank you guys for joining me. We go live every Tuesday and every Friday. So if you like this video, it was valuable to you, share it, leave more comments, like us or like our fan page on Facebook. That'll alert you when we are going live, or subscribe to us on YouTube. That will also tell you when we're going live. So this is great. Thank you guys for joining me today. Have an awesome day.